So this is the Speech Production Acoustics Perception Lab. We study how people produce speech physically, physiologically, how they perceive speech psychologically, and also we measure the acoustics that get generated. It's actually really hard technologically to measure what's happening during speech while people are speaking, because the minute you force your way in to see what's going on, you've disrupted their speech. So one particular example of the equipment that we use is ultrasound. By placing this probe underneath my jaw, you can see on the screen a line that looks as if you were looking at my tongue from the side, and you can see, say, ta 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 is the tongue tip, and ka 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 is the tongue back. But this gives us a way to actually see what's going on real time that we can then analyze.
This is a child language lab. We're researching children with cochlear implants, specific language impairment, and autism, and we're looking at their language processing and cognitive abilities. We're mostly using eye tracking to see how they're processing language and making lexical decisions.
Fish. Feather.
And why I really like this lab was because it's nice that there's a lot of students in the lab that can help you out instead of just a one-to-one with your mentor. So you get a lot of mentorship and a lot of guidance from the senior students.
This is the Cognition and Language Laboratory. Our research focuses on executive function and cognitive control and how it interacts with language abilities in healthy adults, bilingual children, and children with language disorders. We do behavioral testing, which involves using laptops to run participants on computerized tests. This research gets at a lot of questions about how language is represented in the brain and how like cognitive abilities and language abilities might interact. I would say the best part of this lab and of our program as a whole is the sharing of ideas. People are very open, people are very excited about their research.
Meow. And she knew what the pretty quilt looked like. But one day she became curious about the quilt.
This lab is called Developmental Neurolinguistic Lab. The idea is to collect data from brain waves using ERP and electrophysiology, which is called. So there are many different studies that are done in this department, such as on autism, on aphasia, and you see what data you are collecting from at the neural level rather than only behavioral level. For example, in a study which I was doing on Hindi sound, I was interested in seeing, while not paying attention or while paying passive attention, if participants were able to know the difference in the different sounds presented.
This is the Hearing Science Lab. We study various aspects of hearing science, which include psychophysics, psychoacoustics, different aspects of otoacoustic emissions and cochlear mechanics. The cochlea being the inner ear, and the mechanics of the inner ear are basically how sound is processed and basically makes its way into the auditory brainstem and further up. I've been looking at comparing different types of otoacoustic emissions evoked by different types of stimuli and trying to relate that to underlying mechanisms of otoacoustic emission generation and cochlear mechanics.
The name of the lab is Audiology and Auditory Evoked Potential Lab. We do behavioral and electrophysiological research here with emphasis on understanding the neurophysiological processing of speech sounds. And most of our recent studies have been focusing on how processing of degraded speech is happening at the neural level when someone has a hearing loss, or when the conditions are noisy, or when speech is distorted, basically. So we use the Neuroscan to record the EEG and for the electrophysiological part, and we use psychophysical or psychoacoustical approach for the behavioral part.
This is the Neurolinguistics Lab, and we study how language works in the brain. And we look at this in healthy older adults, younger and older bilinguals, people with aphasia and people with dementia. We look at syntax, sentences, we look at lexical word items, and we see how language is processed and how it relates to the brain processes, as well as brain structure. Being here at the Speech Language Hearing Sciences PhD program at the CUNY Graduate Center has been an amazing experience so far. If I look at what has been done in the past and the research and the students we have here today, I think we can be very proud of ourselves, and we do amazing research and get to new levels of knowledge every day.